We will continue to read inshallah in Sahih Muslim. We were explaining the hadith ثلاث من كن فيه وجد بهن حلاوة الإيمان. 3 qualities, if present in an individual believer, he will taste the sweetness of Iman. We talked about the sweetness of Iman yesterday and what it meant. And that whoever loves Allah Azza wa Jal, of course, would love His Messenger and would love everything that Allah loves. And love is part of the Tawheed, of course. And if somebody devotes his love, extreme love, to something else or to any entity more than Allah, this is a form of shirk, no question about it. It's just like Allah said in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُم كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. Even if the love is equal to the love of Allah, Allah called this اتَّخَذَ أَنْدَادًا, which means he has set up rivals and competitors with Allah Azza wa Jal. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. While the true believers, they love Allah the most. And he said أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Ashad, he doesn't say they love Allah more than what, which means that they love Allah more than anything. They love Allah more than anything, just like the hadith said, أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليهم مما سواهما. He says mimma, which would include mimman and mimma, which means that they love Allah and His Messenger more than they would love any person and more than they would love anything. عاقل أو غير عاقل. And of course, loving the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and loving Allah would entail also obeying the Prophet, obeying Allah number 1, أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول, and obeying the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and following him. Just like Allah said in the Quran, قُلْ إِن كُنتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. So in this ayah, Allah placed 2 forms of hub and love, 2 forms of love. The love of the slave towards Allah, the slave loving Allah, تُحِبُّونَ Allah. At the end of the ayah, يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ, Allah would love you. And between the 2, he put اتَّبِعُونِ. So to achieve this, to prove the love for Allah, then the person would have to do his best in following the Messenger ﷺ. And following the Messenger in turn would result in Allah loving that person. This shows that this ayah is very important in showing the importance of following the Messenger ﷺ. Following the Messenger here in this ayah is placed between loving Allah and Allah loving that person. And then وَأَنْ يُحِبُّ الْمَرْءَ لَا يُحِبُّهُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ means that when they love other believers, they love them for the sake of Allah. If somebody is a good believer and a good follower of the religion, then if somebody really has true Iman, he would have no choice but to love that person, regardless of any worldly matters between them. And this is why I think one of the righteous people, he says, لا يزيد بالعطاء. أيوة. يحيى بن معاذ, he says, حقيقة الحب في الله أن لا يزيد بالبر ولا ينقص بالجفاء. Whether this person gives you or he's nice to you or he doesn't give you, that doesn't matter. If you love him for the sake of Allah because of who he is and his connection with Allah, then you would love him for that, regardless of what kind of benefit you benefit from him or if he doesn't benefit you in any way. No. And then of course we talked about that this person would have so much aversion from any way and any religion aside from the religion of Islam. He would only love and want the religion of Islam, and he would hate to go back to any other religion, whether going to kufr, which is total rejection of Allah, or Yahudiyan or Nasraniyan, or an abrogated religion even, which these in their foundation are true religions from Allah, Christianity and Judaism, but they are now abrogated since the coming of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And that is enough. I mean, regardless of how much truth or falsehood has crept into them, That's not the issue. Because some people try to say, oh, the Bible is not corrupt. And this doesn't matter. It's not a matter of being corrupted or not being corrupted. It's a matter of that Allah has sent another messenger. وأنزلنا عليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه من الكتاب ومهيمنا عليه. This final book acts like an arbiter and a judge over previous books. It is the final message from Allah, and it supersedes anything else. And it summarizes all Allah's religions and messages that He has given to all prophets. And no one has the right after the coming of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and knowing of him, but to follow him and follow his religion. And this is the only definition of Islam. For somebody to define Islam as, and use the linguistic definition that it means submission, so you submit to Allah in any way, that is total falsehood. It is total falsehood if somebody says that the explanation of the ayah, Inna ad-dina 'inda Allahi al-Islam, which means the only religion acceptable to Allah is Islam, and he defines Islam as linguistically only, says it means submission. So people will choose to submit to Allah in whatever way they desire then. Some previous religions, as you know, ancient religions, they used to claim that they are submitting to the Creator by sacrificing innocent people, sacrificing children. That is their way. They were pleasing, of course, falsely thinking that they were pleasing the Creator. So the only definition of Islam is a definition given within the text of Islam. If somebody doesn't accept that, or doesn't accept the Prophet and what he has brought, he cannot be considered as a submitter. Just like mentioned in the Hadith, والذي نفسي بيده لا يسمع به رجل من هذه الأمة يهودي ولا نصراني ثم لا يؤمن بالذي أرسلت به إلا كان من أصحاب النار. The meaning of this hadith is that by the one whom my soul is in his hand, if anyone from this ummah, meaning ummat al-da'wah, from the people I was sent to, meaning everyone from his time till the end of time, if anyone, whether a Jew or a Christian, hears of me and does not believe in what I was sent with, he will definitely be amongst the permanent residents of the fire of hell. In أصحاب النار. He didn't say دخل النار. دخل النار could mean دخل وخرج. He can enter and leave. It's just like many believers will enter and leave. But أصحاب النار, like we read in the hadith, أما أصحاب النار الذين هم أصحابها أما أهل النار الذين هم أهلها فإنهم لا يموتون فيها ولا يحيون, according to the hadith. Now, we go on, and the next chapter talks about, specifically focuses on loving the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. باب وجوب محبة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكثر من الأهل والولد والوالد والناس أجمعين وإطلاق عدم الإيمان على من لم يحبه هذه المحبة. The title of this chapter, according to Imam Muslim, is the chapter that indicates and proves that it is obligatory for a believer, of course, to love the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than you would love your family, your son or your children, your parents, and any other human being. And the one who is deficient in his love for the Prophet ﷺ, he is deficient in his Iman. And the hadith will show this. We will read one hadith. عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن عبد وفي حديث الرجل لا يؤمن الرجل حتى أكون أحب إليه من أهله وماله والناس أجمعين. The meaning is that no one would be a true believer unless I would be more beloved to him than his family, his wealth, and all people. In another hadith, also by Anas, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من ولده ووالده والناس أجمعين. None of you can be a true believer حتى أكون unless I would be more beloved to you than your son or your children, your parents, and all people. These are the two hadiths that are mentioned here, and we know the hadith in which Prophet ﷺ mentioned this, and Umar ibn Khattab responded and says, Wallahi Rasulullah, innaka ahabbu ilayya min kulli nas illa min nafsi. He was honest. He says, oh, by Allah, O Messenger of Allah, I love you more than any other person, except for myself. So Prophet ﷺ showed him that the fact is, he says, La wallahi ya Umar, hatta akuna habba ilayk min nafsik. No, by Allah, Umar, this cannot be correct or acceptable unless I would be more beloved to you than your own self. And the sign of, see, this love, there's natural love, of course. You love your wife, you love your children. Mahabba tab'iyya. This is like an instinct and nature. But there's another kind of love called mahabba aqliyya, which is that you use your reason and see who's more beneficial to you and who is more worthy of your love. Just like Allah said, آباؤكم وأبناؤكم لا تدرون أيهم أقرب لكم نفعا. You have to use your reason and see who is more worthy in himself as a person and who is more beneficial to you. And if we come and weigh it mentally and intellectually, you will find that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as a person, even regardless of his benefit to us, he is more worthy to be loved than anyone else. Because naturally, people are loved for their character, for their honesty, for their bravery, for their generosity, right? For their knowledge. So many things that when we find in people, we get attracted to them. And we know that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has reached the pinnacle in all the best qualities that any human being can have. So in himself, he is more worthy of all this. And of course, even physically, the Sahaba, when they talk about his physical appearance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon him many criteria physically. Strength, for instance. Sahaba, even when he walked, they would have a hard time keeping up with him. Even when he grew old, he only had just a few gray hairs. Maybe they could be counted. His hair, which means Allah gave him lots of physical. His face, they said, would look like a Badr, just like the full moon. His teeth would be shiny. So many things. And even physically, if somebody is attracted to something physical, and his hand, they say, Anas ibn Malik says, I have never felt anything softer than the hand of the Messenger ﷺ, not even silk. His sweat was like musk. So even if somebody is just looking at the physical part, he is more worthy of the love and attraction. And the qualities, the other qualities, the moral qualities, the conduct and so on, generosity, the things I mentioned, he is more worthy of all this. Then look at the benefit that you see from the Messenger ﷺ. He is the one who has benefited billions of people till the day of judgment in rectifying their life in this dunya and protecting them from the dangers of this life and the dangers to come, and achieving happiness for billions of people, yourself and everyone around you, and the society, communities, from his time till the day of judgment. He's the one who does the shafa'ah, intercession, and saves people from the fire of hell. So how can somebody not love somebody like this, correct? So mentally, if somebody thinks about it, he should be more beloved. And that's why Umar ibn Khattab thought about it just briefly. He says, Wallahi ya Rasulullah, anta al-an ahabbu ilayya min nafsi. Because this is the mental kind of love that he immediately, when he thought about it, he says, yes, Prophet ﷺ, what he's telling me to do and to acquire is the truth, and I should acquire it, because natural love doesn't shift quickly like this. But this intellectual and mental preference of the Prophet ﷺ, immediately he answered in the same setting that now you are more beloved to me than even myself. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Al-ana ya Umar. He says, now your statement is correct, and your feeling and your belief in this matter, and your vision and view in this matter is what is acceptable to Allah Azza wa Jal, and for perfection of Iman. If it's deficient, it doesn't mean the person is a kafir. It just means that the Iman is not Iman al-Wajib, he has not fulfilled the obligatory level of Iman. But then there's higher levels as well that people can reach. And the sign of love of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is basically that النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم, which means that we should whenever we should put his commandments and what he loves and what he has guided us to and taught us ahead of our own inclinations and desires and our own wants. That's all. Inshallah, we'll stop here. We'll continue in this chapter next time.